And welcome back to Here I Stand. Pastor Calvin Lindstrom, Pastor James Pittman, and we are so happy to have with us Lieutenant Colonel Allen West.
Yes.
Lieutenant Colonel, if we could just talk a little bit about your history growing up. You are a baby boomer.
Yeah.
I understand you came from a family that had a strong sense of honor and tradition, that your father and older brother both served in combat, World War II and Vietnam, respectively. Your parents probably identified as Democrats. Tell me what was different about being a Democrat back then and being a Democrat today.
Well, it's a big difference. I'm a bit of a relic. I was born in a segregated hospital in Atlanta, Georgia, Hugh Spalding Hospital. Grew up in the inner city, the old Fourth Ward neighborhood, which is the neighborhood that produced Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. My elementary school, Our Lady of Lourdes Catholic School, was right across the street from Ebenezer Baptist Church. So it was an incredible community, incredible upbringing. But you just brought up the key point. I had an awesome mother and father. My dad was born in 1920 in South Alabama. He got smart, jumped the Chattahoochee River, and grew up in South Georgia. Mom was born in 1931, Fort Valley, Georgia, just south of Macon. But in the bicentennial year, 1976, I was 15 years of age, and my dad challenged me. He said, "You will be the first officer in our family," because he was an enlisted corporal in World War II in a segregated army. And then, of course, my older brother was a infantryman, a Marine, wounded at Quezon during the Vietnam War. And, of course, he's in the military during the Civil Rights era, and, of course, a lot of the protests going on. So I came from a military background. My mom was also, she served about 27 years as a civilian with the 6th Marine Corps District headquarters. So that was, if they were allowed today, they'd probably tell me my hair is too long on top, but it's okay on the side. But I got task and purpose from my dad. People say, who's your hero? This is easy. It's my dad. I mean, I didn't need a sports figure or anything like that. But even though you're born in a segregated hospital in 1961, the two-parent household in the black community at that time in America was between 75 77%. Today it's 24%. So we have decimated the family and not just the black community, but all communities. And I think that has had an adversarial effect with our young men and young women here in the United States of America. So even though I grew up in Georgia, I went to the University of Tennessee and got my commission through Army ROTC, and I'll never forget the day, 31 July 1982, when my dad stood on one shoulder, mom on the other shoulder, and pinned on the second lieutenant bars.
Beautiful
The
moment.
one and only time. One and only time. Never saw my dad cry. But he cried that day, and I had a sense of pride because I fulfilled his dream for me, and I think that's why it's so important for young men to have strong male role models in their lives. 22 years, United States military, 13 different countries, 3 different combat zones. Retired in 1st of August of 2004. Got elected to go into Congress back in 2010. Served one stint in Congress because I was the number one target of the Democrats in 2012, and the Republicans redistricted me out of my own district. And again, I said, that's a good thing. I didn't see it as, like you said, I didn't get ambushed. They didn't stab me in the back. Both sides did not like me because I stood for the Constitution. That's what I took an oath to support and defend back as a young lieutenant in 1982. So if the political parties didn't like where I stood, I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I could look at myself in the mirror. Been married 37 years. My wife, she is a PhD. She's a wealth management advisor. Probably the biggest marketing job I ever did, greatest marketing job to get
married.
a business professor at Kansas State University to marry me, a dumb, stupid Army captain. So, but 2 daughters, and now we got 3 grandkids.
Beautiful.
That's it.
I think we sometimes forget that part of the Marxist communist agenda, it's not just economic. It strikes out against the family.
Everything. It's societal. Right? It's societal.
And when you destroy the family, then you can replace it with other
government.
With government, right?
That's what Lyndon Johnson did.
It is,
That was his goal.
Correct. And that I think people forget that, and that's why the whole transgender and all the other stuff is part of the war against.
Well, the thing is, when you look at what they have to do, and this comes back to where we are in America, 250. America is the only nation established on the premise that the individual is sovereign because their rights come from a sovereign God, the Judeo-Christian faith heritage God. So if you want to, all of a sudden make the individual subservient to something else, what do you have to do? You have to delegitimize the Judeo-Christian faith heritage God. So all of a sudden, God's not smart enough to have made Adam and Eve.
No.
He's not smart enough to make man and woman. You can remake yourself into what image that you want. Yeah. And that's this whole movement. It is about delegitimizing the omniscience and the omnipotence of God. All of a sudden now, God does not have control of the weather. We do. Okay. Okay, this whole climate change thing.
Yeah.
So it is all about delegitimizing him because now, as Tim Kaine said last year in a Senate hearing in September 2025, our rights do not come from God; they come from government. This is a sitting United States senator said that. He is a former governor of Virginia, the state that gave us Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, the writers of the Declaration and the Constitution. And he's sitting up saying our rights come from government, not God.
Yeah.
That's how we have to start peeling the onion back and
Yes.
understanding what is their direction, what is their objective, and that's what I tried to do 15 years ago,
Right.
on that panel when I was asked that question.
And you mentioned progressivism, 1920. Mark, the idea of this revolutionary spirit goes back much further. I mean, you say maybe to the garden, but we can also see it, in Europe. I think it's 1848 was a significant year.
Yes, that's when Karl Marx wrote the Communist
revolutions,
Manifesto.
right?
Yeah.
So it's been the battle of freedom against communist tyranny has been going on for much longer than people realize. So Madami, it's not like he's anything new.
No.
He's just the fruit of that worked out more and more in our nation.
He's the fruit, but they've been doing this for a while.
No, that's right.
And now it's come to fruition.
Yes.
I'm shocked. I'm absolutely shocked what is going on in New York. And listen, Chicago's not that far behind.
No. Oh, no.
We're not that far behind.
No.
Yeah, Brandon Johnson, I mean, he's just a little bit shorter of Mandami, but the same thing, same principles, same
Right.
values.
Exactly. Yeah, no.
Absolutely. Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Why hasn't the Republican Party
I know, man.
embraced, I would even say, the Judeo-Christian values? Not be a Christian, but a Judeo-Christian value. Why have they put it to the side? Because many of them give lip service,
Okay, I know where you're going.
but they don't govern that way.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it absolutely makes sense. If you go back, Ronald Reagan talked about the 3 pillars of conservatism. Really, conservatism is classical liberalism of John Locke because it elevates the individual. There was national security, there was fiscal security, and social conservatism. What the Republican Party now is so concerned about the culture. So concerned about, we've got to be liked, that we can't say these things that upset people. We can't, talk about marriage. We can't talk about, dismembering babies in the womb. Let's adopt the language of the other side and call it abortion. When in the Bible, it says very clear in Deuteronomy 30 and 19, I set before you this choice today. Choose life.
That's right.
Yeah.
Even
your children may live.
Absolutely. I knew you before you were formed in the womb, Jeremiah 1 and 5. But, you can't be saying these things because, it's, once again, it's going to upset people. We want these people to vote for us, and now you seem like the extremist, the radical, blah, blah, blah. But what happens if you have 3 pillars and all of a sudden you take one out?
Yeah, it falls.
It falls. And so that's what we have to go back and restore. And Andrew Breitbart once said it very clear, politics flows downstream from the culture. And so these people are starting to look at the culture and say, now we got to change our politics to go back with the culture. And that's just not the way it should be. It's just the same as in the military, where all of a sudden it's going to be about inclusion. It's going to be about everybody and all of this transgender and stuff. Look, the United States military is one of the most discriminatory organizations around. If you can't run fast, you don't get to stay. If you're overweight, you don't get to stay.
That's right.
Okay, so when you're talking about people that suffer from a mental condition called gender dysphoria, we don't allow bipolar people in the military. We don't allow schizophrenics in the military. So all of a sudden, if you're confused about, and I'm going to be very explicit here, if you're confused about whether you have a choo-choo train or a tunnel in your pants, you don't belong in the United States military.
No, sir.
But yet, there are people that are afraid. You can't really say that. No, you got to start saying these things and put the other side on their heels.
Yeah.
James, I want to say this. The consultants
That's the key.
have dominated the political scene.
You can't
the
say this.
consultants
The
who
messaging, yes.
don't run for anything
Nothing.
except for getting their position of power. I really believe they have helped shape down the Republicans so that even our current gubernatorial candidate is saying, I'm not going to say anything about abortion.
Yep.
I'm not going to do anything about abortion.
Yep.
To me, that's fear,
Of course it is.
right?
Total fear.
That's fear, and whoever is consulting.
But again, he is taking the language of the other side. Look, in the military, you abort a mission.
Yes.
We're talking about dismembering a child in the womb, what is
Correct.
supposed to be the safest place for a child. And you know, if you're out there running for office, you should be talking about. Let me tell you what this procedure is like.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Because
That's right.
if you're in the military and all of a sudden you have an operation and you take Taliban prisoners or whatever, if you cut up the Taliban, guess what's going to happen to you?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to Fort Leavenworth.
Yes.
Or even if he's dead and you take off his ear, you're going to Fort Leavenworth.
Yeah.
So why is it that all of a sudden this innocent life
Mm-hmm.
that has no voice?
Right.
I would say to your gubernatorial candidate, you don't want to be a voice
Mm.
for that innocent baby. You don't want to
Exactly.
stand up and speak for that child.
He wants to be governor more so than principled.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm getting criticized for? In one of my sermons, I said, hey, we've gotten to a point now to where people are going to school boards. And as one lady said, I thank the teacher for letting my daughter be her authentic self, a cat. And so I said, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, they need help. This is where we are in a culture. The people that protest us, look, they put that on Facebook and said how bigoted I was when I said, you should not let children think they're cats. Right?
James, I think we're coming up to a hard break. We'll continue our conversation with Lieutenant Colonel Alan West on Here I Stand.